Hey boys and girls, Cursed Curator here with some more lovely content, and today we have Cursed Creations, Visual Novels, School Days. So this one has been a long time in the making. I have spent a long time playing this damn game just to understand every little thing. So I have to put in the title School Days HQ because we're playing the HQ version. I don't speak Japanese, so I can't play the original. I can't play the PS2 version because I also don't speak Japanese. So, it's a trying time for a non-Japanese person or a person who doesn't know Japanese at all. I need to learn it, honestly. But let us hop into what this game is all about. Here's a description taken directly from VNDB. I'll be including a link down below, of course, in the description. In the school, the three people met. Their relation had been changed in the season and turned into free love stories. Makoto has been admiring a girl he has seen on the train. That girl is Kotonoha, Katsura, and he even managed to take a photo of her with his cell phone. Due to new seating in his class, he ends up next to Sekai Saionji, a nosy but sweet and sincere girl, as she snoops for his cell phone while talking to him, and she discovers his crush and vows to help him until Kotonoha agrees to go out with him. When Sekai finally gets them together, she realizes her own feelings after finding out that the person Kotonoha liked was in fact Makoto. While waiting for her train next to Makoto, who was waiting for Kotonoha, she has him talking about how he can repay her for all of her help. Before leaving for her train, she kisses him and cries when she boards the train on her way home. Kotonoha happily arrives for her date with Makoto shortly after. With all three main characters carrying different expressions on their faces, the story begins. I think it's a pretty nice way of handling description. Um, Overall, it's mostly accurate. That is what I will say. Mostly accurate. Um, what I will disagree with here is Sakai being sincere. Maybe initially she had a sincere goal. It was, a clear, sincere goal and narrative going there. But it seemed quite quick, in my opinion, how fast she turned into, well, I like him, I'm just going to take him. That's at least from my point of view. But before I get to my opinions, I need to introduce our protagonist, who will have a whole lot said about him. That's already, I'm sure. We have Makoto Itou, or Itou Makoto, depending on how you want to phrase his name. So, this is a character who is very controversial, extremely controversial, but he has a lot of layers, and there's a whole lot going on here, but I cannot explain in this video. It would take too long. But I will be making a whole video based around this character in particular, probably on our secondary week. Instead of doing a visual novel, I'll be doing, well, an anime video where I'll be covering the many versions of Makoto and why he is misunderstood. It's going to be a very, very fun time. So, Makoto Itou, or rather Makoto, is the unlucky protagonist of School Days, Summer Days, and Shiny Days. He appears as the main hero in Cross Days as a side thing. He is not the protagonist of that game, though. A generally mannered and composed student in year 1 of class 3, his life becomes complicated when he begins to unfaithfully initiate polyamorous relationships with girls that he's unable or unwilling to singly commit to. Although he is originally casual, gregarious, and understanding after becoming a addict, a certain kind of addict, you know what I mean. It completely corrupts his personality, and he instead became apathetic, rash, and egotistical towards others, regardless of the harm or later consequences. However, once he realizes what he has done wrong, he is quick in his attempts to fix the situation. Makoto lives with his divorced mother and has a younger sister named Ataru, who lives with their father. He is childhood friends with Katsu Atome and best friends with Sawana Taisuke. So that is basically who he is. Now, people will immediately rush to jump that he is a bad guy. And most of these people that say this do not know who this character is. They only know him from the lens of the anime. He is obviously a bad guy in the anime. But something that's I think is this sad is that they kind of lump together a bunch of different endings like, or rather routes into one go. Um, and that's how we got this guy in the anime. But in the visual novel, which is, our main point here, is that he is really a blank slate. He is, he's just kind of bland. He's just there. Now, we are later revealed that he is a pretty good guy. Most people will reference that, yeah, he's a good guy. And, the more and more we see him when he's not trying to be into romance, he is just that, a good guy. He's a good brother. He's a good student. He actively tries to stop people from getting bullied, which is really good, really admirable. It's just that when it comes to romance, all that kind of really just goes out the window. It's a very certain type of game. It's 18 plus, so you would think that'd be the more focused event other than a slice of life, be a good guy type beat. But yeah, when I have a chance, I will cover a whole video on him, as I said before. It's just that there's so much to cover on him, and I just can't do it in this video. Next up is low-key best girl. Oh god. Katsura Kotonoha or Kotonoha Katsura, depending on who you ask. She is an iconic character in the sense that she is one of the original yandere girls. Whenever you saw art for yanderes back in the damn day, it's either her or the more well-known character. It's the pink-haired girl from oh my lord, I cannot remember her damn name. It's Yuna or Yayona, something like that. Pink-haired yandere girl. I'm gonna type it in. And okay, yeah, it's a Yuno Gasai. I freaking forgot her name, bro. please, please don't judge me too hard. I haven't watched that anime in like forever. It's Future Diary. My bad. Enough about that. Let's get to her description. Polite and reserved, Kotonoha Katsura is a student in year 1 of class 4 who is on the student council and serves as one of the most pivotal characters in the story. A cute and noticeably well-endowed bookworm, she becomes the initial love interest of Makoto early into their second term, and with some effort from Sekai Saionji, becomes his girlfriend. After she reciprocates her affections for him, while Kotonoha, for the most part, is calm and gentle, she is a very delicate conscience, which under stress leads to irrational culpability, delusions, and even malice. She has a younger sister named Kokoro, and lives with their wealthy mother, Manami, and her father in the fictional area of Hariyama. I hope I said that right. Probably not. She is disliked by Atome Kato and is subject to her bullying and duress. So, I love this character. If you ignore Sekai, it's really lovey-dovey between her and Makoto. It's a damn good time, and I just wish we had more of that. She is a pivotal character in every iteration of School Days. From the original up to LXH, and of course into HQ. Obviously, she's in all the School Day games, or rather, the Days games. It's a whole series, and I will be covering all the games as best I can. I cannot cover, unfortunately, Island Days. It's just such a pain in the ass to try and get my translation software to work with that, and I just can't do it. But other than her being lovey-dovey and all that stuff, I think she is a character that, if you give her the right circumstances, she can be really fucking evil. She makes anything that Makoto did look kind of pitiful in the end. The most evil thing I know that she does outright is, obviously spoilers by the way, is that she can manipulate Makoto. She uses her body to basically manipulate him, and it's kind of iconic in my eyes that she's kind of like this shy girl who becomes seductress later, and she uses that. She records that whole scene and she sends it to Sekai to basically say, "He's mine now. Get mogged. Sit in the cuck chair." That's what I remember. I do not remember the ending's name. I should probably talk about the. Well, you know what? I'll mention it after all the characters are introduced. Even though I probably should have mentioned it sooner about the ending count for this game, but that's a whole other thing. So let's hop into the next character before I go into a whole tirade on Kotonoha here. Next up is Saionji Sekai, or Sekai Saionji, depending who you ask. Sekai Saionji is a student in year 1 of class 3, who is the antithesis and foil of Kotonoha, a playful and outgoing classmate seated directly next to Makoto. She takes a curious interest in him during their first acquaintance, and in every medium of the series, helps to establish his bond with Kotonoha. Though genuinely upbeat, Sekai does occasionally show a more serious side, and when sufficiently frustrated, can be loud, selfish, and over-emotional, and even manipulative. She lives with her mother, Yuko, in the fictional area of Matahara Sakashita, and works part-time as a waitress at the family restaurant Radish. Radish plays a large role in the universe of Days and a few other games. It's called Radish. It's like Radish Days, I think. I've never played those games, so I don't actually know the actual full name to that series. But I hate this character. Okay, if we ignore what she does, or rather, let's not say ignore. If she never kisses Makoto, she's actually a good friend. She does not betray Kotonoha, a girl she spent all this time to set up with Makoto. No, the story would never go downhill as it did in any iteration of School Days. Let's just keep it real. Sekai kind of just makes everything worse. Now, don't get twisted. Makoto is his own person. He chose to keep going along with it. He could have stopped her, or he could have just not pursued her after. But I do think that what she did is scummy, and without her doing that, we would not be seeing a love triangle at all, really. Because we know what happens if Makoto is loyal and he is in a very lovey-dovey relationship. Just ignore Sekai and boom. That's kind of a canon thing in my eyes. Ignore Sekai. I can't wait to talk about the different versions of School Days. Because Sekai is just a scumbag in the manga version. She is literally a scumbag. Oh boy. What else can I say about her? She appears, well, of course, in just about every version of a Days games. Not always as a full on like character, where we see her at like almost every damn moment. She's in the background, I believe, in Shiny Days because she is sick, and her friend, who we'll talk about later, takes over for her. But that's enough about her. Let's go for a character that it'll be very short and sweet. She's not that important. But first, a drink of water. I'm professional. I love it. Next up is Kanroji Nanami, or Nanami Kanroji. I said her name wrong there, but you know what? Whatever. Nanami is a student in year 1 of class 3 who is a member of the girls' basketball team, attending the school on an athletic scholarship. A mostly interpersonal character, Nanami is a mature and somewhat quiet individual who generally does not. I mean, what the hell is this error of theirs? Does not her. Okay, whoever wrote this did a bad job. She does not involve herself in the affairs of other people, and as such remains, for the most part, of the game unanalyzed. She is the only girl of the main cast to have an established boyfriend from the start, a member of a basketball club named Kyoichi. Though, to her chagrin, he is a devout otaku. Nanami is good friends with Sekai, who comes from her junior high school, in Otome Kato. Of the entire cast, Nanami is the tallest character. Yes, she is. She is the certified tom girl of the game. She has no scenes in this game. She is not a romance option. She's none of that. She is not involved at all. At least not in this game. She is, she has a moment where she is exposed by some bullies, basically. But beyond that, that's about it. I do believe in Cross Days maybe she has an actual scene. I'm not sure. Cross Days was always the game I didn't care too much for because Makoto is not a protagonist really in that one. So there's not much to really say about her. I think she is a character who is very underrated. She has her head on straight and she calls out bullshit when she sees it. She calls out Sekai's bullshit. At least when I remembered, she called out her bullshit. She called out Makoto's bullshit. And unlike all the other characters who just bullies Kotonoha, she doesn't really do that. At least not that I remember she did. She's just kind of there. I always felt she was a good character, and if they ever go back to the game, which by the way, the game is getting a remaster, which is already out in Japan, this is not out here for the West just yet, and for English, unfortunately, it'll be out in a few months probably, and I'll be buying it just so I can experience a higher quality school days experience. But yes, I do think this is a good character, and I want to see more of her. But let's get to a character who actually does have more to talk about because she actually has a route and she's romanceable. Kato Atome. Direct and headstrong, Atome Kato is a student in year 1 of class 4 who, like Nanami, is a member of a girls' basketball team. She is usually authoritative to her peers and tolerates nothing but her way and opinion. It does not generally associate with anyone but her trio of friends, Manami Obochi, Natsumi Kazumi, or Koizami, and Kumi Mori, who together frequently harass and coerce Kotonoha. Despite her difficult behavior and personality, however, Atome can be particularly tender and shy, especially around Makoto, who she has known since junior high school and has a crush on. So I like this character a lot because beyond the bullying, which I do not like, obviously, I think if you remove that part from her character, she is just really great. We see her in game. The first few times we see her, she is either trying to be friendly towards Makoto or she's just being a bitch towards Kotonoha. That's all she really has going for her. At least when we first see her. But when you go into her route and you try and start, like romance her, obviously, we learn more about her, and I think I love how it ends because whenever we see them together and like towards the end of the game, they're always arguing, they're always fighting, and but beyond the fighting, you can tell they still actually love each other, and I think that's pretty cool. Um, it's actually kind of interesting to see the fact that Makoto can just ignore the two main girls and go for the side girl, but nobody really likes all that much because she's bullying, like one of the most popular characters in the game, and it's not a good look. Um, Beyond that, I do think she does need to be expanded upon more because she kind of feels like a one trick pony. Because if she doesn't get Makoto, she's just kind of there, and she's just kind of a bully. She's kind of a bitch. And Makoto, for his credit, whenever he like actually did see her bully Kotonoha, he did stop it. In some of the endings, and let me be clear here. In some of the endings, in other endings, he doesn't care. Is really character, rather player driven. Next up is a character who really needs no introduction, but I'll do it anyway. We have Kaora Setsuna. Setsuna Kaora is a student in year 1 of class 3, who, like Kotonoha, is on the student council as a class representative. One of the most one of the more inscrutable characters, Setsuna is a keen and focused and habitually tact girl who tends to have and keep most level head of her peers when the situations go awry. She is Sekai's best friend, having grown up with her, and to a considerable degree is overly solicitous of her, to the point of hurting others to ensure Sekai is happy. In summer days, Setsuna is shy and timid, in contrast to her more serious portrayal in school days. Her mother, Mai, only makes an appearance in summer days. With the exception of Katsura, Setsuna is the shortest character of the main cast, and is often mistaken for a junior high school student, a trait she is well aware of and conscious of. Okay, that was a lot. This is a character who, honestly, she stole the show from the main girls. So much so, she became a fucking protagonist. um, when I first saw her, I didn't know what to think of her. I'm gonna be real. Mind you, when I first saw her, I was like freaking 9. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have been watching this game. So it was so long ago, but I did, and that's just how it is. But I thought she was a cool character, and I just love how she interacts with Sekai. She's such a supportive friend, and there is a misunderstanding, and it's very important to talk about, is that everybody thinks that Sekai is dating Makoto. To some degree, they all think they're dating or they're, doing a thing together. And if I recall correctly, Setsuna is one of the characters who believes this too, but slowly starts to figure it out for herself. Now, I might be, misremembering because I've been so deep in the lore now. It's been, some things that you've heard about here and there, but beyond that, I think she has a lot of freaking funny dialogue when she had like when she starts going when she's trying to be teasing and she's just messing with people. That's when she's at her best, and her ending, because yes, you can romance her, and her ending, which is the image you can see there, she puts the peace sign when she goes to visit Makoto. I might be misremembering, for this image here, because she says, so she doesn't decide. She has to go to Paris, and she's like, she's going for her mother, obviously, Mai, and if you go down and romance her, she will return and she will basically comment saying, I'm the, oh, who are you? I'm the mother of his baby, in reference to Makoto. It's something like that. And it was really, really freaking funny. um, I can't wait to cover, what's it called? Shiny Days, because that's when we'll go more into detail of this character. I just want them to talk about her a little bit there. Next up is a character who it'll be really short, but she's a character I didn't care for at first, but I grew to love her. Kuroda Hikari. Temperamental and fastidious, Hikari Kuroda is a student in year one of class 3, recognizable by her signature squid rings hairstyle. She initially believes that Makoto and Sekai are dating from the very start, and tends to negatively generalize him. Later, growing closer to him herself, though she is actually quite friendly and social, Hikari is the most childish of the cast, sporting an unduly knack for whining and prying into the affairs of others. Her family owns a confectionery store and cafe, famous for its lemon custard pie. Hikari is good friends with Sekai and has an unreciprocated crush on Taisuke Sawahana. I can never pronounce that damn name, so ugh. My bad, I just need some water there. Ooh boy, oh boy. So this character is a ball. As I was said before, I didn't really care for her at first, but I grew to love her, and I think when it comes to her content is more voyeuristic than the others, because if you decide to not pursue the others, aka Sekai and Kotonoha, it really varies there. I believe it's more on the Sekai side of things from what I remember, or it depends on how he targets them. By he I mean Taisuke, not Makoto. But you can watch with Hikari, basically him go at it with one of them, depending on the route, obviously. I'm almost certain it was Kotonoha though. Almost certain. It was but how I grew to love her is that how she interacts with Makoto. The description there was pretty accurate. She always generalizes him. She seems kind of a hater, but when she gets to learn learn about him, she really does start to dig him. And when you ultimately form a relationship with her, this is a very very loosely relationship, because she's kind of just still using Makoto in a sense to still try and snag Taisuke, and it's kind of a sharing thing going on there where Makoto shares Hikari with Taisuke, and Makoto gets with Katsura, or rather Kotonoha, and that's what happens there. Um, Hikari basically comments to Makoto afterwards that he's not very good at doing the activities, how babies are made. Um, Taisuke is really bad at it, and she prefers Makoto over him. And that's kind of what seals the deal for their relationship, that they're actually going to be in a monogamous relationship going forward, really. Um, yeah, she's enjoyable. She does have like a whole route, I believe, or rather two routes. I'm almost certain. I could be wrong on that. Oh no, she does have two routes. And she does have an additional route in Island Days, as far as I remember. But we go to the last person. That's really core to the story. The next character is Taisuke Sawagana, or Sawadaga Taisuke. Taisuke is a student in year 1 of class 3, a spirited, in particular, and rather hopeless romantic. Taisuke is a close friend of Makoto from junior high school, who frequently endeavors to forward his otherwise lonely, ambitious love life. Oblivious to Hikari's feelings for him, he takes a strong interest in Kotonoha, despite her rejection, and only under certain under sorry, there's the cat in the room. Please stop, buddy. And only under certain circumstances in the game actually dates her. Taisuke is the second tallest character of the cast, right behind, of course, Nanami. So what to say on this scumbag? Yes, he is a scumbag. Oh my lord, he is horrible. um, well, first and foremost, he is involved in certain bad endings. I believe a number of these bad endings actually are not in HQ, but rather in LXH. One such ending is where basically Makoto dies. Yeah. So Makoto dies, and Taisuke is actually the father of both Kotonoha's and Sekai's children. But people claim that they're Makoto's, but they're not. That's a whole thing there. And he is rather quite abusive towards the female cast members, mostly Sekai and, of course, Kotonoha. He uses them, and that's the gist regarding him and them. Honestly, he takes and takes and takes, and he doesn't really care about how they feel. He's just going at it, and when he's done, he's done. He is he is a really bad character. If you don't try and pursue certain things, of course, for the options, he isn't that bad, really. But when you start to go down certain routes, he is really dark. He rivals Makoto to a degree. At least in fairness, Makoto isn't R wording anyone. At least in this game. Um I have to clarify here. In this game, um, but in this game, of course, with Squiddy's HQ and other iterations, this fellow Taisuke is, and it's really a matter of who's worse. This guy's worse. Oh, and don't worry, we'll be covering Makoto's father one day. He is the equivalency of absolute evil in this universe, and we have to solve this for the greater good. But that's what we'd say for him. So we have one last character. So there is actually a large number of side characters for this game. Well, not that large, but they're not really that important. Not really, anyway. So I won't be talking about them. But this one last side character is pretty important. 1 second though, a drink. So next up on our list, this lovely little bean, Katsura Kokoro. Or rather, Kokoro is the sweet-natured younger sister of Kotonoha. Unlike her older sister, Kokoro is peppy, talkative, and full of curiosity. And although she frequently teases Kotonoha, she worries about her greatly. She has a good friend named Uzuki, and especially looks up to Makoto as her older brother. Kokoro lives with Kotonoha, and their mother, Monami, and their father. So, this lovely little character, she really brings out a side of Makoto that we don't really see that much. So she's not really mentioned that much. But Makoto has a sister, of course, named Itou. She does not live with Makoto and his mother, so we don't really see her, except for like maybe one time, I believe. I can't really remember, but Kokoro is a character who basically brings out that big brother energy. That basically kind of shines the light that he is a good guy at heart, which I really do enjoy. Um, I think that she is unique in the of course the Katsura family, and the fact that she is she's not dominative or rather dominating like her mother, and she's not shy like her sister Kotonoha, um, which I really do enjoy. She appears a lot more in the shiny days, of course, obviously summer days too. We'll explain one day the difference between summer days and shiny days, and that's a whole other video. But there's not really much else to talk about with regarding her. But I kind of skipped over this. I really should talk about this earlier, but we talk about the loveliness that is School Days and its endings. There are a number of endings for this game, but for HQ, there are 21 endings that are retained and one bad ending that is added. Unfortunately, most of the extra content that we actually did get in LXH is actually ignored, which is sad. As far as I know, we do not get those endings back in the remaster either, so they're kind of just lost media. Well, not, it's not gone. It's still out there. You can buy this, or just you can boot up an emulator. But it's still sad. We won't have it in HD high quality. Oh well. So there are 4 bad endings, 5 Sekai endings, 7 Kotonoha endings, 1 Setsuna ending, 2 Hikari endings, 1 Atome ending, and 2 harem endings. So how this game is structured is it is structured in episodes. It's usually the episode 1 to 5. I do believe in certain endings that are way longer, it does go beyond 5, but I really cannot remember. It has been a while since I last encountered one of those. But this game does have an issue, at least in my eyes. It does reuse a lot of animations, so it feels kind of like obviously repeaty with some things, but it's obviously different dialogue. It's just a limitation. It's very expensive to make these kind of games, hence why they're not really doing them anymore. They're really just making remastering School Days purely because of, well, School Days is old. It's super old, and it doesn't really work on Windows 11. It barely worked on damn Windows 10. um, but it's a good thing, it's being remastered. But honestly, I don't know how much else really talk about here. School Days is a fun journey, and I will be covering it more. In regards to, of course, to the Makoto video, the additional days videos for the other games in the franchise, and maybe if I feel like it, I'll play the other games in the same universe as it, such as the Radish games. It'll be kind of fun. Of course, I'd be very careful with my wording with these particular videos, particularly for, of course, Days games, because they are adult games. So I have to be very careful. I mean, obviously, I'm not getting monetized for these damn videos. I just want to be not kid friendly, but more like not talking about pornographic content. That's what I will say. Um, anyways, I will see you guys next time. Please like and subscribe for more, and peace.